All right, everyone. Well, Kamala Harris stonewalls on the U.S. border, effectively, and that's what she's doing. Comes out and says, well, I support the bipartisan border bill. Ha ha ha. And the bipartisan bill, it's supported by some neocons and neoliberals. Everyone else fucking hates it, and it doesn't have the votes to pass, thankfully. It's basically pig in a pokery. It's not actually going to solve any problems at the U.S. border. Now, we'll discuss that later. But now you have operative opacity, actually, at the U.S. border. A FOIA request was filed earlier this year by Fox News, actually, seeking information on the demographics of people that were illegally entering the United States. The Biden administration has decided to block this. Now, I would think that it would be pertinent to the American people's interest to know who exactly is coming in. Where are they nationals of? Now, part of this is a little bit difficult because you're going to have a we don't fucking know category. I think that's the reason why the FOIA was blocked, actually, because the we don't fucking know where they came from category would be extremely large. This would somewhat undercut the concept that people were coming into the country and could legally seek asylum. That's, I think, the entire point to blocking the FOIA. That and the fact that a lot of American voters might look at the demographics of the people that are coming in illegally and say, well, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an awful lot of Chinese nationals. That's an awful lot of people from other continents and shit like that. You mean it's not even at this point mostly Mexicans or something? That was the stereotype back in the day about border hoppers was it was all a bunch of people from Mexico. That has changed drastically. And we don't know who's coming in, by the way. You've got people coming from the Middle East. They may have ties to Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, etc. You have people coming from China. They may be literal spies for the Communist Party. And some of them are. It's not the majority, but they are coming in. And we've seen it before. Now, if some family has fled China, for example, because of the political persecution there, I wish them well. I would say, well, I mean, they know better than anyone the evils of communism. They're a dissident, their family got gulagged, they came to the United States. Okay, that's fine. You'll be a good patriotic citizen, probably. But then, somebody might come in from China claiming persecution, saying, well, I seek asylum because, the commies gulagged my family, but it can't be verified. That's the whole problem. The problem is that without a thorough and proper vetting process and a very orderly process for entry, you don't know who's coming into the country. So for every person that legitimately is fleeing persecution, wants to raise a family, they want to work hard, etc., 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 you're going to have somebody who potentially is a spy or a terrorist or, a trafficker or something like that. Same is true of children, undocumented children. It's become a huge problem. Over 300,000 so far that we know of have sort of slipped out of communication with ICE. And normally, undocumented, minor comes into the country, and they attempt to find like a legal guardian. But traffickers are gobbling them up. And there's no vetting process for these people. It's like, oh, it's my long-lost nephew or something like that. Okay, well, just check in with us in a month because we need more processing time. And then they give them a cell phone, basically, and they tell them to check in. But there's no process by which they can force them to do so. And so, unfortunately, right now, you have at least some tens of thousands. Now, some of these kids that disappeared, it's a lack of communication, or the person was illegally in the country, and so they're trying to evade ICE, but that doesn't necessitate that they're otherwise a bad person. But at least some tens of thousands of these kids are currently being pimped out. And at least some tens of thousands are working in a sweatshop. And some tens of thousands more are probably already dead. This does not sound like, give us your huddled masses, we will uplift you, Lady Liberty bullshit. This sounds like exploitation to me. But there's no attempt ongoing by the Biden administration to address the problem. The border bill that's been talked about so much that they're trying to cast off as, well, the Republicans don't want to secure the border, ma'am. The bill doesn't secure the border. It effectively just gives Biden more latitude to ignore the issue while putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound with a few token trinkets basically thrown at the border wall and a few token tinkerings with regards to the processing process. That's the only thing that it does. It's a pig in a poke bullshit deal. It's not even really a deal. It doesn't even entirely have to do with the U.S. border to begin with. But you've got a very opaque sort of situation here where they're trying to keep the public from having as much information as they can possibly withhold from the public. Normally, if things are going well and you're doing a good job, you want to brag about it, right? Well, yeah, here's the demographic data. Yeah, it's all kosher, everything's fine. Normally, when you hide things, there's probably a reason why you're hiding them. That would be consistent with reality. So when they deny the FOIA and they say, no, we're not going to give you the demographic data, I can only conclude that it's because that data would undermine one or more of the underpinnings of their messaging on the border. I have a feeling that it's basically the we don't fucking know where they came from, but they're in the country anyway category that would be the problem. It's probably a double-digit proportion of the people that are coming in illegally and or seeking asylum. If they gave us the demographics with regards to what proportion of people are actually following through with ICE, that would be damning too. I mean, we're only getting part of the information, and it's already damning. Again, like with undocumented minors and stuff like that, it's already damning. It's already a problem. It's a huge problem for the administration. It's one of the reasons why Joe Biden crumbled in the polls. Now that Kamala's the candidate and people are beginning to notice, hey, she's the vice president, she does have influence within the administration, the blame shifting is going over towards her. This is why she won't interview without Tim Walz by her side. She doesn't want to answer any questions. He'll do all the talking. This is why she doesn't want to appear in public. Took her 40 fucking days to hold a single presser, and again, she's got to be accompanied to it like a little kid or something like that, like one of the little kids that her administration has abandoned at the border in an Obama cage, or allowed to go with some dude who's probably named Chester the Molester or something like that, or some corporate hawk that's like, oh yeah, these are my 3 kids. Into the sweatshop you go, boys. And yeah, what a wonderful thing. Yeah, you're doing such a good job at the U.S. border. There's a reason why it's a mainline issue. That's the whole thing. It's a mainline issue because people understand that it's a problem. You've noticed the legacy media has conspicuously stopped reporting on migrant busing now, haven't they? There's a reason for that as well. It's all wagon circling bullshit. That's about all. Peace out.